Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country, and good morning to our West Coast listeners, and welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York, and for the next 3 hours, It is a combined show today. It is our regular Exhale Friday, whatever's on your mind, whatever's in your heart, and there's a lot going on. And I want you to weigh in. And it is the 20th anniversary of Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton. 20 years ago today, I went on the air, and we've been on the air ever since. And let me say that Kathy Hughes, the founding chair of Urban One, called me and said 20 years ago, she said, Reverend Al, I'm thinking of starting a syndicated talk show network. Would you do it 5 days a week? Later, they also sponsor what I do on FMs on Sunday. I said, wow, I'd love to do that, Miss Hughes. And I'd known her since days in Washington where she would sit in like the picture window doing her radio show. End up buying the station and end up becoming a mammoth radio owner all over the country and then TV One. And I said, I would be honored, but I just signed 3 weeks ago with some progressive white left stations in Chicago. She said, give me their number. I'll buy you out of that. Would you do it for me if I buy you out of that? I said, yeah. And she paid them to release my contract. And I've been on ever since, 20 years. And also, about 15 of those years was our Sunday show I do on Sunday mornings. So I'd love to hear from some of you that have been listeners for some time to give me your thoughts. Say, Reverend Al, I've been with you all 20 years. I've been with you 10 years, 5 years. Give me your thoughts of the program. And also at the same time, I want to have Exhale Friday because there's a lot to exhale about. And I mean a lot. The arrest of Don Lemon, I've already said, is put a sledgehammer on the First Amendment. How do you take a established, legitimate, credentialed journalist and say that you're going to charge him with some federal statute that you're saying disrupted the freedom of religion by those having the services? Now, you said that about the activists that went in there, and I would argue that they have the right to assembly. I don't agree with that. But you clearly can't say that if Don Lemon interviewed the activists that disrupted the service and the people in the service and the heads of the church, how is he part of the disruption? He's a journalist. Is this designed to put a chilling effect on media covering demonstrations so that they can contain the outrage getting any coverage and therefore contain what it is that people are opposed to? That's the equivalent of silencing protests. They call that totalitarianism. And we can talk about that. We could talk about how they've now said they're going to drop. They've dropped 3 million more files on the Epstein case that they did not feel, according to Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, said there's no news there. Y'all are waiting for scandal. Well, then why y'all hide everything so long? Why didn't y'all just put everything out? And I remind you, they made the Epstein files an issue. They said the Democrats were protecting big Democrats. And then when they got in, they jumped through all kind of hoops not to release it. So it is amazing to me that it's just a coincidence. Every time they're supposed to release some files, something happens. They go and capture Maduro in Venezuela. They go do something with the tariffs. They arrest Don Lemon on charges nobody thinks will stick. I'm real suspicious of the timing of all this. Oh, Reverend Al, you just being paranoid. Well, just because I'm paranoid don't mean nobody's not following me. So let's talk about all that Exhale Friday. Let's talk about 20 years. Marcella Carter is on our message board. Says, I've listened for about 20 years on an AM channel here in Cincinnati. My mom would turn the radio in the kitchen and would listen to you every day. Rest in peace, Mom. God bless you. Thank you for that. And let me take Mayor Rodney Jones, mayor of Queensbridge Houses in Queens, New York, says, congrats, my shepherd. No one thought you would last. The last will be first. Yeah, a lot of people said that I wasn't going to last when we started this show. And it's 20 years later. And a lot of people said I wouldn't last with the television show. And August of this year, I have been on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton 15 years. Maybe because my mother used to make me read that scripture that the race isn't given to the swift, nor to the strong, but to those that can endure. Maybe I was raised to endure beyond people's skepticism. I give the credit to my mother. She used to make me read that scripture all the time. Let me say to you that I'm very proud of this show. We've had everybody from President Obama on this show, President Biden on this show, Vice President Harris, leaders of the Senate, leaders of the Congress, legendary historic entertainers. I've had James Brown on the show. I have had Aretha Franklin on the show. In fact, Aretha used to listen to the show when we were on in local Detroit, and she'd call in, and I didn't know it was her. And the producer said, go to line 4, and it would be her talking to me about whatever the issue was that day. We had Michael Jackson's family. I mean, I can't think Stevie Wonder's been everybody you could think of in the last 20 years we've had on Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton. But the most important thing is the listeners, people that call, that have watched my daughters grow up. I know something about their families. You make the show worthwhile, and you make it where we can mobilize in an instant because we never demobilize. People ask, how do you get people so quick? Because we never stop talking to people. Every day we talk to people. So when something happens and we say we're going into Gina, Louisiana, and we did. Are we going into Minneapolis for George Floyd? Are we going to Sanford, Florida for Trayvon? People that listen to us every day are people that many of them are active and say, got it, I'm going to be there. So the way to stop people from where you have to turn them on is don't ever let them turn off. So let's talk about the issues of the day, what's going on in Minneapolis, what's going on with the arrest of Don Lemon, and the fact that the Democrats and Republicans are negotiating around this spending bill. They've agreed to give a 2-week set aside on the of the Homeland Security budget to not stop it as they talk about what levels of reform they're going to have. I think they should take ICE out altogether. But they are moving toward a negotiation, and they've agreed to that. Let's see where that goes. A lot to talk about on Exhale Friday. And I want to also say that I remember as elated as I was 20 years ago when we started this show, it broke my heart that I was told later that day, that Coretta Scott King, widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., passed on this very day 20 years ago. A regal, saintly woman. I cherish the time she spent with me, the counsel she gave me, and in many ways, the change in me that she helped me to make. And I hope, as she's somewhere on the other side, I made her proud that her son kind of put us together, and she kind of spent time with somebody she did not have to. So I'm going to remember and dedicate this 20th anniversary to the matriarch of the movement, Coretta Scott King. All right, let's take a break. I'm going to open up the phones. It's Exhale Friday, and you that have any 20-year message that you want to give our audience or me. We'll be right back after this. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Oh, Rev, you know you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at
Yeah.
that time, at
Yeah.
Howard Beach. And you were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself,
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
Probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair,
Yeah,
man.
you had the head on.
Yeah, it was.
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. So we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited to turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized. extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunity, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started at Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP would have been together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
I wanted to come today on Martin Luther King Day. Because Martin Luther King died in Memphis fighting for wages for garbage workers. And I believe he would want those of us that come in his tradition to be standing with nurses and standing with those that should be getting wages for saving the lives and caring for people that the private hospitals and other hospitals seem not to care about. How can you spend King Day and turn your back on people that are working and not insured right and not given the right wages and not given the right respect when they're taking care of our afflicted, our ill, our infirm? In the name of Martin Luther King, I join the nurses in demanding justice for the nurses. This is not only a labor issue, this is a civil rights issue. This is a human rights issue.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. For open up the phones, we're going to have some special guests calling in throughout the program. Then, as you know, our producer, Fatim Muhammad, who's been here with me since the beginning, when we do anniversaries, will not tell me who the guests are, so I'm going to be as surprised as you are. But let's go to our first guest on this 20th anniversary of Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton. Hello.
Hello, Rev. I'm so honored to be the first guest to say congratulations on 20 years. This is your mentee, and I just want to thank you, Rev. I remember you and Fatim first came to young unknown lawyers' request to help us fight for Martin Lee Anderson in the Bay County boot camp.
Yep.
And ever since then, we fought for Trayvon, Michael Brown, Breonna, George Floyd, and so many others. And so I'm just so honored to call you not only my big brother, my mentor, my co-counselor, but somebody who I can always count on. It was said to me, Rev, that when you do common things uncommonly well, that you command the world's attention. Thank you for 20 years for commanding the world's attention when Black America needed attention most. And so I can't say enough words about you, Rev. I love you more than I can articulate, and that's big from a trial lawyer.
Well, for you all around the country, know this is the Attorney General of Black America, Ben Crump. While I have you, and I appreciate so much all that you say and what you have become to this nation, to our people all over the world, and to me personally, it's meant a lot because it's hard out here to meet and deal with people that have integrity. And you've shown that since Martin Lee Anderson, and that's been many years ago in all of our engagements. But let me ask you while I have you, give me your analysis both as a lawyer and practitioner of standing up for people's rights, of the arrest of Don Lemon. Give us the legal analysis. I mean, because it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, certainly, Rev, and you and I and our whole community, you as civil rights and as the Black journalists, we got to address this. But as I have been saying, when you think about what ICE is doing in Minneapolis and all over America, it's a complete assault on our constitutional rights. I mean, you can go down the line, Rev. They are assaulting our First Amendment rights for freedom of speech and assembly. They are assaulting our Second Amendment rights with Alex Peretti to bear arms, our Fourth Amendment rights against unlawful searches and seizures, our Fifth Amendment rights against due process of the law, that you can't just be the person who arrests and then make the conclusion without an investigation like Trump and Bondi and all of them, Christy Nome did when they arrested. I mean, they tried to vilify Renee Good, and then the Sixth Amendment right against counsel, and the Eighth Amendment right against cruel and unusual punishment. I mean, they got people dying in these ICE detention camps. And so all of it, Rev, is an assault on the First Amendment, but I mean on the constitutional amendments, but none more important than what is happening with Don Lemon, because the First Amendment right is the foundation for all the other amendments to be able to protest your government leaders and to have free speech and not be jailed for doing so. And so, Rev, this likely may become the 2026 version of New York Times v. Sullivan, when Ralph Abernathy and them were arrested protecting Martin Luther King. And you had to get the Supreme Court to say, you got to protect the First Amendment right.
Yeah, and I'm scared with this Supreme Court. While I have you, tell us about your response to the Sonia Massey case. Policeman that killed her there in Illinois was sentenced 20 years yesterday. I remember, like it was yesterday, you called me. We went in, did a big rally, support her family at Marshall Hatch's church in Chicago. And I don't think that I said on social media and on the show yesterday that I think he should have got life for life, but 20 years is more than I thought he was going to get. Given the reality where we are. Give me your personal as well as legal analysis of the sentencing.
Yes, sir. And before I do that, Rev, I got to thank you again, man. There's so much. I don't even have enough time to thank you, Rev, for the number of times you answered the bell, man. I called a lot of leaders for Sonia Massey to come and help bring attention to this black woman. And you're the only one who came, Rev. I mean, in that rally in Chicago where we had that church packed, and it made the front page of the Chicago Tribune.
Right.
I like to think that had a lot to do with Sonia Massey getting full justice just you and National Action Network saying, well, Brother Crump, we going to come. A lot of people were like, well, it's not big enough and all this stuff. Well, help us make it big, and that's what you do, Rev. So I got to say thank you for that, because Sonya Massey, unlike any black woman I know, even beyond Breonna Taylor, has gotten the fullest measure of justice that we know. She got $10 million settlement from the county, which is the largest amount ever played out for a black woman in the state of Illinois. Number two, Rev, you remember they passed the Sonya Massey law.
That's right.
That said you now have to have all your citizen complaints. They got to know about them before they hire you. Now, they can hire you, but they can't act like they didn't know, because the law requires, because the guy that shot Sonya Massey had been fired from 6 departments within 2 years. And so that was big. And then yesterday, 20 years, Rev. And remember, the conviction was for second-degree murder, so that was the maximum. I don't know why they didn't give first-degree murder. Now, we got second-degree murder, and the judge gave him 20 years, no chance for parole. And I thought that was a statement, a huge statement. Everybody wanted life, but 20 years sending a clear message that we ain't going to tolerate them killing our sisters when they call for help. Because that's what Sonya committed, no crime. She just called for help.
And it was on video, and because of body cameras and all, which we all fought for and got through the Obama administration. And the thing that you said you touched on, a lot of people don't understand. They'll say, oh, Sharpton and Nan just want publicity, or Ben Crump's out there getting a lot of profile. We go in these cases when nobody heard about them. We created the publicity. Wasn't nobody talking about these cases. When you brought Trayvon's parents to me at MSNBC, first time I met them, it was a local Florida story. I had not heard about it.
Man, hey, Rev, one day you're going to let us give you all your flowers. People don't know, with Tracy and Sabrina, Trayvon parents, man, they were still inarticulate, overcome with emotion. I remember you sitting Trayvon's daddy down and telling him we'll do the interview, but after this here, we want to support y'all, anything y'all need. Y'all let us know, National Action Network. And you scheduled that big rally in Sanford. Your mother died today when you were going to come to the rally, and you still came, man.
Yeah, we've been through a lot. That's my little brother. Thank you for kicking us off. Attorney General of Black America, Ben Crump, couldn't have a better kickoff. Thank you for that, for team. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. It's 20th anniversary, y'all. Be right back.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just wait. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned. People marched. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel
incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
Today, an Illinois judge sentenced the former sheriff's deputy responsible for the 2024 murder of Sonya Massey to 20 years in prison. While this conviction represents accountability, I believe nothing short of a life sentence could truly match the life that was taken. Sonya Massey was in crisis and deserved care, not violence. In 20 years, this individual may walk free, but Sonya will never return to her family, never live out her future, never get another chance. National Action Network stood with her loved ones and community then, and we will continue to stand with them now. We must fight to ensure no other family suffers such a horrific loss and demand real reforms, including stronger standards and background checks in law enforcement hiring. This is the work NAN has carried forward for 35 years, standing in the tradition of Dr. King, fighting for one standard of justice and refusing to be silent in the face of police violence and inequality. Our mission remains clear: to protect our communities, demand accountability, and ensure equal justice under the law. Justice must be more than a moment. It must be a movement.
Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. they wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a track record. Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host,
And show their ability.
Reverend Al Sharpton, on this 20th anniversary, and that was a surprise to open up hearing from Attorney Ben Crump, especially on this day. I'm told we have another surprise guest on before I go further. Let's go to the live line. Hello?
Hello, Reverend Sharpton. Happy anniversary. It's Alfred Liggins.
Hey. Well, this is the boss. It is he and his mom that started this show. I can't believe it's been 20 years, Alfred.
I know. Actually, when I saw that, I remember when we were in Los Angeles sitting in that hotel lobby bar, and I was like, you got to come do this with us.
Yeah.
And that was 20 years ago, and you've been, amazingly keeping it real for a very, very long time, not just on the radio, but obviously all fronts with your civil rights and community engagement, and you're to be commended. And I'm honored and proud to have you as part of the Urban One family all this time. And it's amazing. We're gonna do it for another 20. So,
well, I'll tell you that what you have done, and certainly your mother has done, is to giving us a voice, whether or not everybody agrees, because no community is monolithic. But when I think of all of the things that we've gone through, I mean, in 20 years, we've gone through 4 presidents, and all of them have been on this show. All of them have been on this. Oh, well, Trump hasn't been on, but Biden, Obama, Clinton, all have been on this show. And you've given us that voice, and we appreciate you and love you. And you've expanded television and all so many things.
No, absolutely. And I bet if you invited Trump, he would come on the show.
Yeah, well, I've been known to do a lot of things, but I don't know if I can do that. It'd just be hard for me to invite Trump. I don't want people to see that side of me. I don't know if I can keep my manners. But thank you for calling in. I thank you for being you, and thank you for 20 years.
All right. God bless you.
God bless.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. All right. And let me say by way of announcements, that is the CEO now. He succeeded his mother, and he runs this. He's a superior businessman and a real good brother, like a little brother to me. Let me say by way of announcements, don't forget, tomorrow and Sunday to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Tomorrow I'm going to have on Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. I'll tell you that much, because I want a report from him as the leader of the Democrats in the House on what exactly is in this 2-week delay that the Senate is doing. How does the House feel about it? How does he feel about it? And I want his take on Don Lemon and what is going on in Minnesota. I met with the governor this morning of New York, who said that she would not authorize local municipalities to work with ICE in New York. I had breakfast after I got off Morning Joe. Before I went to Governor Hochul, I met with Governor Wesley of Maryland, Westmore of Maryland, and we talked about how they're doing the district lines in the state of Maryland. So many issues out there. and I think I'm gonna have Wes on next week, the governor there. So many issues, which is why we need multi-platforms to talk about our issues, and you need to support them. I'll never get one of the greatest compliments I ever had was from an old lady when I started on television. I must have been 5 years in, and she said, "Rev Al," I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "They tell me that they keep y'all on by the ratings. I want you to know I go and turn your show on in every room in my house, hoping they rate it 5 times. And I've had some awards, some honorary degrees. Nothing meant more to me than this old lady, Columbia, South Carolina, telling me that it meant that much to her for us to keep our voice out there. And I do appreciate it. Let me also remind you that in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me at the Saturday Action Rally. Tomorrow's rally special because it's the last time we will have a Saturday Action Rally at the location that we've been at for 19 years, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, 145th and Lenox, 9 a.m. to 11. I'm giving the keynote. I want you to be there with us. A lot of memories, a lot of things have gone through there, and we moving on up, but we're not moving out of Harlem. I tell you that we got a real. You'll be surprised when I announce the edifice. But for the month of February, the Saturday Action Rallies will be at the historic Mother AME Zion Church on 136 between 7th and Lenox, and that's the historic church. We're doing that every Saturday, Black History Month, 9 to 11. Still live on YouTube, still live on the air, on Impact, still live on National Action Network's live stream. But we're doing it from this historic church. This church Frederick Douglass used to speak at, and Paul Robeson was a member of this church. And his brother, in fact, was one of the pastors of the church. And Madam C.J. Walker's funeral is there. So if you come and join us next Saturday there, you'll be sitting in history. The ghosts of that building will empower us. But tomorrow, we say goodbye to one location, and we're going to deal with all these issues. Make sure you're there. You that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television tomorrow, as well as National Action Network.net live stream, as well as YouTube/NAN. And then we are bursting at the seams in early registration for the National Action Network Convention. I've been saying all week that we are almost at 2,000, and J.T. Trollinger, who heads our media, came in and said, "Rev, I checked, y'all are a little over 3,000 that has pre-registered." So I'm telling people that you got to pre-register because we're going to do it different this year. We're going by the registration because we expect people that's going to be bursting out the seams. We're going to have some of the people running for office come, as we always do. We're going to have some of the celebrities, all that. I haven't even announced any of that. People just know we mean business, and they've already pre-registered. Some saying I'll be there for a day, some 3 days, some for the whole 4 days. And everything's free. All you got to do is register and come. And go right now if you haven't registered. Pre-register at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call the toll-free number at 1-877-626-4651. All right, let me take the first call on our 20th anniversary from my dear friend, I mean that to her, dear friend, the beloved Miss Eunice in Chicago. Miss Eunice.
Good afternoon, Reb. And I would like to start out by saying God bless Reverend Jackson. Yeah. And congratulations on your anniversary. I'm one who has been listening to you over the years, and I want to thank you for all you have done in bringing good information. And when you're called on, you always respond. And I've got to say this. Reverend, I applaud you so much when someone comes on your show with erroneous information. You stop them right then and there. They may not be doing it on purpose, but they can be misinformed. And you set the record straight. And you can't lead where you don't go. You can't teach what you don't know. And we have a lot of people who go by what they hear from another person who don't go. They just make up stuff. And Reverend, to think we have a man who holds the highest office and he has wreaked havoc everywhere he's gone. And I'm wondering, will the Republicans ever wake up and get guts to challenge this man? It's supposed to be 3 branches of government. Why don't they use their branch? And thank you, and God bless you and your family, and keep up the good works, and I know you will, and I will continue to listen to you, and I love you dearly.
Love you back, and appreciate your support down through the years, and certainly don't take it light that you usually the first call in the week and the last, open up the last day of the week, and she's really been a supporter of this show, Miss Eunice. Let me go to my ace Boone-Coon. Got to share in Chicago. Can't leave without talking to my ace Boone-Coon. The invincible, irreplaceable brother Frank. Frank, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
As always, Reverend Al, congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thank
my
you.
Good brother. Way to go. 20 years. Bro, there's been some great television shows that happened in the last 20 years. You know what I'm saying? The only one we think of that can possibly compete with you would be Saturday Night Live. I think it's called SNL now.
Right.
Now, we are hot on the trail. You know what I'm saying? But way to go, Reverend. Now, wow, Rev, it's been 20 years already. I don't feel 20 years old. Lord have mercy. I've been missing in action, so I decided to check in. I'm out the hospital. I had some medical situation, did what we call it. The Lord brought me to another one. Reverend, now I'm gonna do a quick update on one of our. Did y'all know this? But first, I want to ask Reverend now, with this shutdown and the money they're going bad, you know, I mean, are we that just either distracted? What happened to the Obama subsidy?
Yeah.
I mean, we got bamboozled, hoodwinked, you know what I'm saying, and flim-flam, and kept the government open, and I'm kind of glad they did. I think what the reason why they really did it was because they wanted to relieve their stress going to the Christmas holiday season. They don't want to send you their stress and no money, no job, whatever. So that got taken place. But I think that should be also tied with the fact of keeping this government open. Because we don't get that, and we just get this thing dealt with ICE them, I think they should really come down on them. Matter of fact, they should disband them. I believe that too.
No, I think you're right. I think that, and I'm going to raise that. I have Hakeem on Politics Nation tomorrow night, is that not only do they need to disband ICE or put new rules in, they need to reestablish, because it has expired, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. We cannot agree to this budget. Without that, I totally agree with you.
Yes, sir. And did y'all know this? We are back with this. Anything new coming across my way, I got to let our people know. For decades, Social Security resources and programs been available to everyone, but everyone knew about it except for us. So we called it. But here's one more before I hop off. If you have Humana, check with your case manager. Do y'all know this? Humana has given a spending account card. I got mine, $260 a month, every month. And what you're going to spend on any utility bills, grocery shopping, you name it. Get with your case manager. I know I can use an extra $206 a month. I know y'all can too. And if you don't spend it all this month, it carry over to next month. But be careful when you get to the end of the year. If you got anything left on there, when you go into the new year, that's going to get wiped out. If you have Humana, get with your case manager. Your card might be in the mail. If you don't have Humana, y'all don't have it, you might want to ask your case manager, why not? Like Biggie Small said, love that brother. Like he said, if you don't know, now you know. Thank you, baby. Now,
I love it. Thank you, and good to hear your voice. Always good to hear your voice again. Let me go take my break. Coming back, more of you on this anniversary show and Exhale Friday show. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm ready. All right. Reverend Al Sharpton live. I'm today in Nevada. I have the honor of bringing on the 44th President of the United States, and I think easily in the top 3 presidents in American history. Barack Obama is on the line. Mr. President, thank you for stopping and doing this.
And let me start by asking you, who has sat in this seat where you had to deal with serious global issues as well as national issues, what would you say to our listeners around the country is at stake in this election from someone that knows what's going on globally and in terms of our national policies?
Well, before I talk about global and national issues, I got to wish you happy birthday, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, you look 60, but you know, I guess you got a whole decade past that. So, you are holding up good, and appreciate all the work that you're doing, reporting on the issues that are critical in this election and beyond. So best wishes from me and Michelle.
I appreciate it.
Look, I think there are two issues at stake here. One is the issue that should concern all Americans, and that is that on the one hand, you have Kamala Harris, somebody who has excelled at every position she's held, from district attorney to attorney general of California to U.S. senator to vice president, somebody who made her own way and, worked her way up, starting in a middle-class family, single mom, went to an HBCU, had doubters, at every stage of her career. Somebody who has been a champion on behalf of folks who needed help, whether it was victims of sexual assault, people who had been scammed and exploited by the home mortgage industry, or for-profit colleges, winning on their behalf so that they got a fair shake, and who has very concrete plans to move the country forward, whether it's on housing or education or making sure that women have control over their own bodies. And on the other hand, you have somebody who showed himself to be incompetent while in office, who carried grudges, sent out a lot of tweets, but when it came to minding the store, looking after the American people on vital issues like the pandemic, dropped the ball and did not seem to be concerned about the details. And there's a baseline level of focus, competence, hard work, diligence, understanding of policy that Donald Trump has not shown to be interested in. And so, regardless of who you are, you should want a president in there who knows how to do the work and doesn't treat the presidency just as a seat to show off or spout off or feed your ego. More specifically, when it comes, more specifically though, Reverend, I just want to add, when it comes to the African American community, Latino community, people who historically have been on the outside, you have in Donald Trump somebody who consistently has shown disregard to people who are not like him. I don't have to tell you, this is somebody who has made a career out of demeaning and talking about and treating people of color in ways that indicate he does not think they necessarily are full members of the American community, whether it's him taking out a full-page ad calling for the death penalty for the Central Park Five without actually knowing the facts. Ultimately, you've got young men who were shown to be innocent, but had it been up to Donald Trump, that wouldn't have mattered. the history of his father and his family not renting explicitly to black people in the housing that they built. And it continues to today, where you've got at Madison Square Garden rally for him that features people who are suggesting that people of Puerto Rican descent are garbage. And so when you not only have somebody who doesn't seem to have the competence for the job, but also seems to consistently show disregard for people who are not like him, who makes a distinction between the real Americans, quote unquote, who support him and he's comfortable with, and everybody else who he suggests somehow are not real Americans. That kind of attitude is inconsistent with democracy and inconsistent with how we move this country forward. So to my mind, at least, this is a very clear choice, and I'm hopeful that the majority of voters see it the same way.
I might just note that I've been on tour at National Action Network with Central Park 5 because I fought for them 32 years ago. So you are absolutely right. He never took a position on any race-based case in New York. Both he and I are New Yorkers other than that case. But on the competence part, I wanted to raise with you, he inherited the Obama economy. When people in every community are being asked, didn't you do better under Trump? And when we're talking about 2017, 2018, that was Obama. That was not Trump. I mean, as you look at this, explain to our listeners how it takes time for what your predecessor has done to either you add or subtract from it, but it's not your doing.
Well, there's a critical point, Rev, and I've spoken to this at rallies across the country. When I came into office in 2009, I was inheriting a financial crisis brought about by the Republican administration. And we had to dig ourselves out of a historic hole. You know, you had the financial crisis, you had layoffs, you had massive unemployment, mortgages were underwater, folks seeing their homes foreclosed upon. And over the course of 8 years, we rebuilt the economy and made it stronger. And we had 75 straight months of job growth. And so by the time I leave office, by the time I'm handing it over to Trump, the economy is going strong. The trend lines are all positive. Unemployment has dropped. Inflation is low. And so his first 2 years in office, what people are attributing to him has to do with the work that I did and my team did and Nancy Pelosi and the Congress, all the programs and policies that we put into place. And he, the only thing he did in his first 2 years was give a tax cut to mostly rich people who didn't need it and drove up the deficit in the process. So there's no actions that he took in the first 2 years of his term that are attributable to his policies. The economy was good because we had made it good. We had worked hard to make it good. Now, when people ask, all right, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? 4 years ago, we were in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
It was about to start. And what people seem to forget is that he mishandled that. And I've tried to describe for people, look, I try to be accurate. I try to be fair. No matter who was president, COVID, the pandemic, would have been a crushing blow to the U.S. economy. People would have died. Businesses would have been shut down. Travel would have been restricted.
Reverend Al Sharpton,
but
it's our
we
20th
had an
anniversary of doing this show, and we've already had two surprises. And I understand we have another surprise we're getting ready to put up. Let me go to the live line, and they're not telling me to guess, so I'm just calling guest number 3. Thank you for calling in on this anniversary.
Am I on?
Yes, you're on.
Well, hello, Reverend Sharpton. This is your dear old friend, Melba Moore.
Oh, wow. Melba Moore. Wow. And now we go way back.
Way back.
And you still got them pipes. I mean, I brag about you all the time. There's nobody that ever hit the stage that can compete with Melba Moore, and a genuine, I will say this, a genuine Christian woman, a ethical woman, and an activist. I'm talking about in the 80s when we said we going out here and paint crack houses and get them out of our neighborhood. She said, I'm going with you. And she had a hot record out there. Her managerial team didn't want to do it. She's out there painting crack houses with me in the 80s.
It was not the yellow brick road, but we was painting crack houses red.
That's right. That's right. Wow, this is wonderful. Thank you for calling in, and I hope you well. I've been following you on social media. You still out there doing it?
I'm doing very well, but I call to congratulate you. You've been on this show for 20 years now. Did you realize that?
I didn't until somebody told me, it's 20 years in a few months, and man, it's amazing.
Well, I just wanted to say in a formal way, you've been really keeping it real. It's 20 years of truth, courage, and consistency. Your voice has been a vital force for people. You created a space to address injustice, civil rights, politics, culture, faith, and everyday challenges that our people meet that they wouldn't have a way to address them if it wasn't for you. So I'm really here to say, I appreciate you, but I want to say it publicly. You and your whole family, and your just total commitment. I love you so much, and I will always support you, and thank you for supporting me. And congratulations for 20 years of just in this platform. You have so many others.
Well, thank you so much, Melba. It means a lot to hear your voice, and you are one of the things I've cherished in my journey. Thank you. Melba Moore, y'all, and thank you for your call in. And you that on live stream can see they put up a picture of Melba in the 80s of Melba and I with Mick Jagger and David Bowie. She used to take me everywhere and introduce me to the artists. That has to be like 1984, 1985. Melba Moore with David Bowie, Mick Jagger, and took me along with her. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Sly in Detroit. Sly, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Happy anniversary, Reverend Al.
Thank you.
I've been with you since day 1A1, back when we were on 1200 AM WCHB.
Yeah, I remember them days.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to tell you what makes this anniversary, your 20th anniversary, such fire, okay? Reverend Al, this is your 20th anniversary, but dig this. This is also the 100th anniversary of the celebration of Black history. Carter G. Woodson started celebrating Black history in 1926.
Yeah, that's true. Wow. I never thought about that. Wow.
So this, like I said, this anniversary is a lot of fire for you. This is profound. Okay. Now, if I may, I got two little ideas.
All right.
I mentioned it before. If you could reach out and bring back that astrologer that you used to have come on every Friday, maybe not every Friday, maybe once a month, however you want to do it. But I used to really enjoy him when people would call in, they would give their date of birth, and he would tell people about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I used to really get a kick out of that. And next, if Brother Liggins is still listening, since the so-called president wants to erase our history, I was wondering if every day, for the duration of his term, if every day could there be like a PSA that starts in the morning, today in Black history, where you maybe like just 2 minutes, like a 2-minute PSA of what happened in Black history on whatever particular day it is, because Black history is 365 days a year. And it would be good because you may think that you can get rid of Black history and devalue us, but there's always a way around it. There's always a way around it, and we could use our Black platform to educate one another. And that's it. Just a little.
I
quick
love it. I
PSA
love it. I
of
love
Black
it.
history.
I love it. Thank you for your call. Thank you for being with us all these years. Let me go to Jay.
Have a great one.
Let me go to Jay in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Buzz. Jay. Is Jay there?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay here. Hey, Reverend, thanks for taking my call. I'm just upset about what happened with Don Lemon. You telling me you can shoot down Americans and not get arrested, but you can protest like Don did and get arrested? How embarrassing is this?
It's not only embarrassing, it is absolutely inexcusable. No doubt about it.
I mean, and this American bum, Donald Trump, is doing everything he can to try to tear us down, but yet we've seen Cal Rittenhouse get away with murder, so many of them people getting away with murder, but you arrest protesters, but try to protect it in Iran. So this guy he's off the chain, man. We got to impeach this bum. He is an American terrorist. Him, Stephen Miller, and all those guys that work in that administration. How do they wake up in the morning and look at themselves in the mirror and try to be real with themselves?
Yeah.
And I'll hang up and listen.
All right, thank you for your call. I think that, I ask myself the same question. How do they look at themselves? And I have come to the conclusion, Jay, that they really believe that they're superior. They believe they had a right to do this stuff. They believe that America was built for white males. I really believe they believe that. That America was built for white, straight males. And anybody other than that, including white women, are to lesser degrees. Now, white women, to them, is higher degree than blacks, and then black male, then black women, then black LGBTQ, then black educated, black on all that. They believe in tiers of existence. They don't believe in equality. They really believe that. So if you have two forces with opposite beliefs, it's a question of which force is going to be able to endure and fight for what they believe and prove that they're right. All of our history, and I'm not just talking about blacks in America, I'm talking about the history of mankind, it's been right against wrong. In the end, the right always wins, but it's a struggle. And it wins when the righteous are more determined than the unrighteous. And I think that that's our challenge. Our challenge is they dug in. Imagine after George Bush was president, who they felt was too liberal. But imagine after George Bush was president, they get a black president named Obama. Imagine how humiliated they were. Imagine how furious they were. But they dug in. They started with the Tea Party. Then they went into birtherism, that Obama wasn't born here. He was born in Kenya. Then they went into every phase they could. And by 8 years after Obama, they won the White House. They were as determined as they could be. And we dropped the ball. We felt we had a black president, and we relaxed. And when we relaxed, they saw the opening, came right in. We caught up again and said, wait a minute, we can't have this. We put Biden in. Black vice president, Kamala Harris. Ran her for president. Convention packed, beautiful. People say, everything's all right. Few blacks grumbling about, I don't know about a woman. And we dropped the ball again. We need to stop analyzing them and analyze what's wrong with us when we know that the only way we're going to get any of what we ought to get is if we put our foot on the gas at all times and don't let up. The minute they catch you sleeping, they're going to take everything in the house. People like to break in houses thieves when everybody's asleep, because a lot of your stuff's gone before you wake up and realize you've been robbed. Let's take a break. 20th anniversary. I want to hear from more of you at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or go to our message board at National Action Network live stream. Put on a message board like Trisha 1989 says, they are living out their ancestors' wildest racist dreams. What are we going to do about it? We're going to have to live out our ancestors' dreams of freedom and liberation. It's a battle of the ancestors that can only be put through us. We are the ancestors walking around. Trisha says, that part, Reverend Al. Yeah, that part. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Hey, what's up? They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing What's on Your Mind? Yeah. All right, then, we got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday's today.
Yeah, and I got tell Reverend Bird be ready Daniel 5th chapter I want him to read. And I'm ready. Got a message from today, so we'll be on the air in what? Half hour.
About a half hour.
You should tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready.
Oh.
Make sure you operate on time or I'll tell them how old you are. Keeping it real, I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Hello, Madam Vice President.
Rev, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well.
Well, we're honored that you called in, and we always are very happy. We've been watching your movements, but I'm excited to hear about this tour, a nationwide economic opportunity tour that you announced that you're kicking off in Atlanta on the 29th of April. Tell us about it.
Yes, sir. Well, I decided that I wanted to get out of D.C. and get into the neighborhood, into the community, and let people know about what we can do to give folks the support they need to realize their ambitions and dreams that are about building businesses, about growing their wealth, about access to capital. And so I'm kicking it off in Atlanta, and it's going to be about giving folks information about some of the work that I've been doing for years, actually, which is increasing access to capital around the amount of money we're putting in community banks. We're going to have booths that will be staffed by people from the Small Business Association to remind people about the kinds of loans that are available. We recently, for example, got rid of the prohibition on previously incarcerated people being ineligible for SBA loans, so that now we have made it so that previously incarcerated people with convictions will be eligible for SBA loans if they qualify otherwise, but their conviction will not be the reason that they don't qualify. We're doing work that is about talking about affordable home ownership, under the great, now past Secretary of HUD, Marcia Fudge. We were able to do some very important work around getting rid of racial disparities around home appraisals. What we know is that black homeowners, it is well documented, often have their home appraised below its value, and it's because of racial bias. And so with the work we're doing to fix that, knowing that home ownership is one of our best ways of achieving intergenerational wealth. So these are the kinds of topics that I'll be raising and discussing on this tour. And starting in Atlanta, I've got some wonderful young brothers in particular who are very successful in business, and I'll be talking with them about their story and what our policies can do to support people like them who are just have great ideas, work so hard, but don't necessarily have access to the resources.
Now, this is so important because as you have done it throughout your career, and I think more has been done under the administration that people understand in terms of closing the racial gap in terms of wealth. I think the president, when he did the National Action Network's convention 2 weeks ago, talked about how the gap has been closed more. But as you said, we can't do it without owning land and without getting bank loans. So you coming on the ground doing this could be a game changer.
Well, that's right, because what I've found, Rev, is that, I've been having meetings in Washington in my office and actually in my home. And what I'm finding is that there are a lot of people who just don't know what is actually available to them. And instead of requiring folks to figure that out on their own, I decided I'm going to do a national tour to get out and talk with people. So I'm kicking off in Atlanta. The following two will be, I'm going to go to Milwaukee, I'm going to Detroit, but other cities as well, to be where folks live and let them know about what's available. And the other thing, Rev, that I think is that Joe Biden and I pledged that we would double federal contracts for minority-owned businesses, and we are on track to do that. And, when you get a federal contract, that is an incredible way to grow a business, to grow the economy of a community, much less the health and financial well-being of a household. And so there are a lot of facets to this that include paying attention to the racial wealth gap, but paying attention to it in a way that it's about figuring out what the solutions look like.
And also you coming as a unique historic figure and certainly a symbol in our community, it also changes the psyche of our young people because they start thinking early about home ownership and about things that they didn't have access to thinking about earlier. It changes the psyche in the community on the ground for young people, and I think that's very important, can't be underestimated.
I agree with you, and I do hope that this tour will encourage people to have more conversations about, well, what are the ways that we can grow wealth? And what are the ways that we can close the racial wealth gap that is also about paying attention to intergenerational wealth, right? Things like family being able to pass a home on to their children and their grandchildren, and what that does in terms of building up equity that allows you to, if necessary, take out a loan or take out equity in your home to pay for the tuition for your kids to go to college, or takes out equity in the home if you have somebody in your family or your children who want to start a small business so they don't have to take out a big loan. There are so many iterations of this, so many ways that this affects people when we increase home ownership, when we increase access to capital, to allow people to accomplish their dreams. And I guess that really is the bottom line about how I'm thinking about this tour, which is, in our community, we don't lack for good ideas. We don't lack for dreams of greatness and success. We don't lack for ambition. But what we often lack is access to the resources that can allow us to achieve those things. And that's what I seek to address.
Last question, because I know you run it, but I appreciate you announcing this here on the show. The fact that if people have businesses that are from the community, home ownership that they own, it also helps us in other areas that you and the president and all of us are concerned about, crime and other things, because when you have a sense of ownership, everybody makes sure that people in the community respects our homes, respect our businesses. We all become part of making things work.
Listen, I have, for a very long time, and you and I have had this conversation many times, what are the attributes of a safe community? Well, some of the attributes of a safe community are high rates of home ownership, thriving small businesses, people who have access to mentors and to civic leaders and community leaders. And when we talk about growing the economy of a community, all of those things are likely to happen. And one of the benefits, to your point, is we create safer communities.
Keeping it real. I'm your host. All right, I appreciate your call. I know Reverend Al Sharpton. Let me go back. Let me go back. What James Bryant said. Can I go back? Can I go back? What's the 20th anniversary? And one of the highlights of these last 20 years, before I go to any other callers, was when we had the first and so far only black president of the United States on this show. He did my TV show, but he said, no, I'm going to do Keeping It Real. Here's a blowback to President Barack Obama on this show. I'm trying to get the tape through.
When people in every community are being asked, didn't you do better under Trump? When we're talking about 2017, 2018, that was Obama. That was not Trump. I mean, as you look at this, explain to our listeners how it takes time for what your predecessor has done to either you add or subtract from it, but it's not your doing.
Well, it is a critical point, Rev, and I've spoken to this at rallies across the country. When I came into office in 2009, I was inheriting a financial crisis brought about by the Republican administration. And we had to dig ourselves out of a historic hole. You had the financial crisis, you had layoffs, you had massive unemployment, mortgages were underwater, folks seeing their homes foreclosed upon. And over the course of 8 years, we rebuilt the economy and made it stronger. And we had 75 straight months of job growth. And so by the time I leave office, by the time I'm handing it over to Trump, the economy is going strong. The trend lines are all positive. Unemployment has dropped. Inflation is low. And so his first 2 years in office, what people are attributing to him has to do with the work that I did and my team did and Nancy Pelosi and the Congress, all the programs and policies that we put into place. And only thing he did in his first 2 years was give a tax cut to mostly rich people who didn't need it and drove up the deficit in the process. So there's no actions that he took in the first 2 years of his term that are attributable to his policies. The economy was good because we had made it good. We had worked hard to make it good.
Now, that was President Obama that had come out and called and said he wanted to come and do this show because Biden was running and he wanted to help get him in. That was the record that President Obama said on this show about Donald Trump. And Trump lost the White House, came back 4 years later, and people started talking about y'all too old, Biden's too old, and we lost and went right back into the rut that we was warned about by Obama right on this show. Let's go back to the phones. Let me go to Cynthia in Washington, D.C. Cynthia.
Hello, Reverend Al. Thank you for taking my call. I want to congratulate you on 20 years.
Thank you.
I have a couple quick things. I'd like to know, I haven't listened this week, but how's Reverend Jackson doing? And then the other thing I want to say is I have been listening to you since the 90s when I was in my 20s. You came to Union Temple in Washington, D.C. You preached a sermon, "It's Time to Get Up." And since then, I have been participating in NAN and volunteering in various ways. And my biggest question, based also on some of the other calls, is this concept of, is there anyone doing the work of our ancestors or wildest dreams in terms of where we are now, looking at this moment in time, especially in light of the 100-year anniversary of Black History and America 250, where we're having our own conversations or listening sessions or something around how America was built, so that we can, in this generation, do some fortification things as they did in the civil rights movement to keep advancing the concept of freedom and liberty in the most idealistic principles of America, understanding that there has been hypocrisy all along. But in my view, in the civil rights, they used the structure to force the system to become better. And I would like to know if you are aware of anybody who's doing some work that might speak to that, especially in light of, this historic 100-year anniversary of Black history and the 250 years of America.
Yeah, I think you. All right, I appreciate your call, and I appreciate what you said. And I do remember preaching that sermon. It's time to get up at Union Temple. Reverend Bishop, I called him the Bishop Willie Wilson. A great church, great man. But I think that's exactly where we need to go, what you said. We have to have the conversation. That's one of the reasons I'm glad after tomorrow we're going to Saturday Action Rally into a historic site with that First AME Zion Church. People are disconnected from their history. So they do not feel there's any expectation of them because they're not connected to something. I remember, and I've told a story, and you probably heard it, Cynthia, about when this reporter found out the plantation my great-grandfather was a slave on was in Edgefield, South Carolina, because he came up with the ownership papers. And I went down there, and a guy that collects old Southern residences and plantations and all, ironically had the Sharpton plantation. And I went back a couple of years later, took my daughters, but more important, I took pictures of the shack. You that watching live stream, that's me walking around the grounds when I brought Dominique and Ashley. It's my second visit. This is where my great-grandfather was a slave. Took pictures of the shack that about 20 slaves had to sleep in, and in the fields they worked in. And one of the shoehorns that was on the horses that was left there from 1700s. And I look at that every morning, before I go down to the gym and work out, because it reminds me of my roots, the blood that flows through me, and what we are committed to do. Some of us don't rise to that. So going to what you said, we need those conversations. 100-year anniversary of Black History Month also underscores how for many centuries they wouldn't let us talk about our history. Now we can talk about it, have many vehicles to express it through: social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. And we're not talking about it. We are using too many of those vehicles to degrade ourselves, making songs calling ourselves the N-word and calling our women out their name, rather than to have the real conversation, because to have the real conversation will put responsibility on us. But we are responsible, not for what's going on to us, but we're responsible for what should be going on through us. Let's take a break. Be right back. More of the 20th anniversary live, Keeping It Real, Sharpton. Be right back.
Coach Joe, how you doing, pal?
Good. We are now joined by the President of the United States of America, President Joe Biden. A year ago today, as president, he spoke at the breakfast this morning in Washington, and though he's out doing service, he said he wanted to call in and speak to us around the country on Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton, and I think he's done about 4 King Days with us, so this is not political. This is just who he is. Thank you, Mr. President, for calling in.
Well, thank you, Al. It's not the first King Day either. I've been doing it my whole life. That's why I got involved, Dr. King. You've been in the office. You know that I only have 2 busts there. One of Dr. King, I can see from my desk, and the other of Bobby Kennedy.
That's right.
And anyway, but he's the one that got me going. As you know, most people don't know, my state was a slave state. My state was segregated by law when I got elected. My state of Delaware. We've changed it all, but although I'm not sure they know that slavery was the cause of the Civil War, but that's a different issue.
No, I've heard some questions about whether they know that. Let me ask you this. I remember in 2020, you were not president yet. You were former vice president. You were thinking about running. And you came to our breakfast that I just left in Washington, National Action Network, and you told Martin III and I in the back room you were thinking about running. Would compel you to run was what you saw in Charlottesville. And the passion and outrage you had is what really helped pull you into the race to run for president. And I wanted to know if any of what you're seeing now, people that are fighting, you just had the hate crime summit at the White House with all of us from different groups. And when you see the rise in hate crimes and all of that, is any of that part of the impetus like Charlottesville was before of your running for re-election?
It's a big part, Al. You know, look, I think I told you guys that, I just lost my son, Bo, who was the Attorney General of the state of Delaware, because he spent a year in Iraq near one of those burn pits, and he died. But the point was that I didn't want to get involved at all until I saw what happened down in Charlottesville. Those, the Ku Klux Klan carrying Nazi flags, coming out of the woods and the fields, carrying torches, talking about just ugly, ugly, ugly people. And the young woman was killed. And I remember talking to her mom, and they asked the then president, who's seeking to be president again, what he thought. He said, I thought there were very good people on both sides. Right. Very good people on both sides, for God's sake. And that's when I decided I had to run. I had to check with my kids, my grandkids, because, they're going to be victimized like everybody else is who takes them on. But we made the right decision, and we got a lot more work to do, Al. We've done a lot in terms of changing things around. Black unemployment is going down. Went down from 9.2% to 5.2%. 14 million jobs created. Of that, 2.8 million are African American jobs. Black wealth is up 60% since the pandemic. We got a lot more work to do. It's the fastest pace of home ownership and business ownership in 30 years. So on. I mean, we got invested $15 billion to replace lead pipes, which are affecting mainly fence-line communities, mostly black and minority communities across the board. And the kids get brain damage because of the lead in the pipes. So there's a whole lot. Record federal investments in contracts to black-owned businesses. Democrats and Republicans had the ability to do it, but I'm the first guy to come along and say that when the Congress passes money to spend money on the federal government spend the money, I get to choose who the contractors are. Well, I've made sure we have black businesses, at least 15%. So we're making a big change, and we've also taken action to, cap insulin for seniors, and we used to for everybody. Anyway, there's a whole lot going on. And by the way, the thing, Al, you and I talked about, the things I'm pushing, they not only they cost money, but they saved the American public billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. For example, when we're able to, instead of paying $400 a month for insulin for diabetes,
you come along and you are able to charge only $35 a month, that saves the American taxpayer billions and billions of dollars, in addition to the folks. And by the way, that did cover initially everybody, but my Republican friends blocked it for everybody but Medicare. They couldn't get that done. We're coming back at it. Or, for example, we significantly reduced child poverty, particularly among minorities, significantly reduced. But they went ahead and took away, people were getting a significant, amount. They get paid $300 per kid if they're below a certain threshold level, and but 2/3 anyway. It just
no. This is important because a lot of people saying what has changed for blacks, and you categorically are giving examples. I know for a fact with the Inflation Reduction Act as well as the infrastructure, you made sure that black businesses and black communities were a part of it, not preferential, but getting what would be fair.
Well, what I did say was preferential in the sense that anybody lived in a fence line community, meaning there are communities where they have to absorb all the pollution from the industry, et cetera. They're getting covered first by me. First, I'm in Philadelphia right now, Al, packing food for children and adults. It's called Philabundance, the community kitchen, and on my public service today. But here's the deal: we're in a situation where you have those people getting, like this town I was raised in, Claymont, Delaware, on the border of Pennsylvania. We had the highest cancer rate of any state in the nation for the longest time because there's so many oil refineries. The wind blowing our way. I have asthma because, like a lot of kids I grew up with, ended up getting asthma and ill because of it. So the fence line communities, whether they're down in Louisiana or in Delaware or wherever they are, they should be taken care of first as we clean this stuff up. There's a lot we can do, Al. You know it. You know it better than I do. And,
well, let me ask you this. I know we're going to have to let you go because you're there serving. My last question. Charlottesville was part of what gave you the impetus to run. Today they're voting in Iowa. This election season is open. What made you decide to run for re-election? What was the thing that really closed in your head saying, Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. And you that follow us on live stream are getting some of the older archives of the show. We played President Obama on this show, and we just played President Biden on this show. And 20 years, we've had a lot of notables on the show. But let me let some of the callers in. Let me first, though, again, remind people that Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, Saturday and Sunday, is going to be vital this weekend. Certainly, I have tomorrow on the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, because we need to know from him, what does this 2 weeks mean? What's going to happen to the Affordable Care Act? What's going to happen to the whole question of ICE, because many of us want to see it abolished? What does this Senate deal mean? What is he going to do in the House? He's going to be on Politics Nation tomorrow, as well as other members of Congress and the Senate, and then Sunday as well. So you don't want to miss it. I know the Super Bowl's coming on Sunday. It's coming on after my show. It ain't coming on at all tomorrow. So watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on tomorrow, and which is Saturday and Sunday. As well as you that in the New York area, it is our last rally in the morning at the 145th and Lenox Avenue location. 145th and Lenox, we've been there 19 years. We've had everybody. The history of that place is unspeakable, but we're getting a larger place, and we're going to move temporarily on Saturdays to the historic Mother AME Zion Church in Harlem, 136 between Lenox and 7, and that's where Paul Robeson was a member. His brother was pastor. Harriet Tubman did Underground Railroad through there. Frederick Douglass spoke there. You're going to love Black History Month every Saturday there. And we set up our administrative office on 125th Street until we're ready to move in our building. So be there in the morning to join me as we say goodbye to 145th Street. They'll never forget what we did there, but we're moving on to higher grounds. It's 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., House of Justice, 145th and Lenox. And, of course, you that are not in the New York area, you can watch us on Impact Television, nationalactionnetwork.net on our live stream, or on YouTube/NAN, N-A-N. And certainly with all this going on with Don Lemon and all, you definitely want to see, he'll be in court later today, you definitely want to see what we deal with it tomorrow in Politics Nation. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let me go to Bertha in Cleveland, Ohio. Bertha, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Reverend. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I just turned on my radio, so I understand this is your anniversary. Congratulations to your anniversary.
Thank you.
Reverend, these ICE people are nothing but low-down hoodlums. They are nothing but the Ku Klux Klan, a.k.a. Proud Boys. And masks. When have you ever seen a federal agent with masks on? They wearing masks like the hoodlums wear when they get ready to rob somebody or rob a bank. And these people are very dangerous. They're breaking. They have no rights. This young man that got killed, they shot him 10 times, and he had his hands in the back and his hands bounded. So they intended to murder. These are murderers. And Donald Trump is the king of the murderer. He's over in I can't pronounce it right.
Venezuela.
Those people are getting killed over there. Donald Trump, and to my opinion, is nothing but a murderer, because this is what he's doing. Children, old folks, and everybody else is getting murdered over there for his greed. He's going down in history, all right. He's going down as the worst resident of the United States. You notice I haven't said president, right, because I call him resident who's residing in the White House. These people are, well, we have to be very careful, and I hope that some people will hear me right. These Republicans that now are not the same Republicans, the original Republicans. These Republicans are completely out of there's something wrong with them. They're so greedy, and they're going along with everything that Donald Trump is doing. And I would say that anyone voting for a Republican now is really voting against themselves, because what these people are doing, what they're doing now, it's going to come back to them. And if they don't believe me, ask Pharaoh. And they don't know who Pharaoh is, go to the Old Testament and see how he initiated trying to get all the babies killed, and it resulted in his own son. This is going to be, I'm sorry, and I hope nothing happens to these people. I don't wish nobody death, but what they're doing to themselves. And this Norm woman, they need to get rid of her, because she is, I don't know who taught her. Her parents didn't teach her right from wrong, good from bad, because anytime you say that these people are domestic terrorists, something's wrong with that. I'm very upset about this, but there's a price to pay, and we need to get out and vote, and do not vote for not one Republican. We need to take the money away from these ICE people. They're getting paid. They shouldn't get paid a down payment on a stick of bubble gum. Thank you, Reverend.
All right, thank you. Always good to hear your voice. Let me go to my friend in Atlanta, Georgia, northwest Atlanta, Sister D. I was on Morning Joe this morning, Sister D, talking about they went into Fulton County, and now they're trying to set up some bogus, and I'm going to have Congresswoman Lakima Williams on my show, I think tomorrow after Hakeem. They set up some bogus investigation about the 2020 elections there in Fulton County.
You know, Reverend Al, so that includes me. So they have taken my vote,
And I don't know where they have taken it, and I don't know what they intend to do with it. But if they can do it to us, they can do it to people all over this country. And I think the end goal is to try to figure out to get either with Don Lemon or taking those votes like that. I think that Trump would like to have some, and Stephen Miller, people please look up Stephen Miller, and because that's Bush's brain. That's the person behind all that Bush is doing, all that Trump is doing. They talked about back in the day Bush's brain, who was, I forgot that guy's name, but Trump's brain is Stephen Miller, and he's an evil somebody. Reverend Al, I don't want to get off on that, but I am ticked off about it, because if they can do it to us, they can do it to everybody else. But I really called to congratulate you on your anniversary. I have been following you, young man, for quite some time, and you are a young man to me. Because of you, I did join NAM, and in the many years that you would come to speak at West Hunter Street Baptist Church, and I think you would come almost every year for Men's Day.
Right.
I would be right there, Reverend Al.
Wow.
Listen, you deliver the word of God, and you always did such a wonderful job. I'm praying for you. If they can arrest Don Lemon, they can come for you or they can come for me, and we need to watch our backs and be vigilant. Congratulations again. Love you, Reverend Al.
Love
Keep
you.
doing you.
Thank you, and bless you for that, and that means a lot to me, and she's been right there with us down through the years. Let's go to Mark in Houston, Texas. Mark, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Well, good afternoon, Loudmouth. You doing all right this afternoon?
I'm doing fine.
Well, you know what? On this show here, I'm going to have to do like you do. I'm going to have to keep it real. I'm going to have to keep it real. Man, I'm going to have to keep this real. Let me tell you something, man. I hear these people talking about these people, these ISIS with this mask on their face. I'm going to go back to a little known history fact. Now, who do we used to have those masks on their face so they come and burn a cross on our yard? I think that was the KKK that had the mask on their face. And I could be wrong, but I just need y'all to just check that out, though. But anyway, man, I think that what we see happening right now with Don Lemon and all this nonsense, we got ISIS running around shooting, killing people, taking people out of their houses. Trump is just running around in other countries, kidnapping people. Is these people that's working in his cabinet, are these people ISIS too? For what we see, what they doing, what's going on in this world today, man? This is not looking good for America, Loudmouth. So at the end of the day, man, let me tell y'all something. Y'all need to keep on watching this man, Trump, because at the end of the day, I talked to him on this show about the Epstein files. They say they done released 50% of them so far. I already know about Bill Clinton. I already know about Donald Trump. I told y'all. I tried to tell y'all. There's a lot of other people that's involved in this nonsense. And Trump, everybody that's followed him, I said, well, what we need to do is forgive everybody, the Republicans and the Democrats, because I'm a righteous person. But I got to get this devil out. I got to get this so convicted man out of the White House, man. We got to get him out of there before he destroys ours.
I know that's right.
Y'all have a good one, man.
All right, bless you. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Do you know what time it is? It's
Breaking news.
Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin is... You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, the call-in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of keeping it real. 2 decades of truth-telling, fearless advocacy, and keeping the people informed and empowered. Thank you for always speaking power to justice and standing firm for what's right. Here's to 20 years of impact and many more to come. Today, an Illinois judge sentenced the former sheriff's deputy responsible for the 2024 murder of Sonya Massey to 20 years in prison. While this conviction represents accountability, I believe nothing short of a life sentence could truly match the life that was taken. Sonya Massey was in crisis and deserved care, not violence. In 20 years, this individual may walk free, but Sonya will never return to her family, never live out her future, never get another chance. National Action Network stood with her loved ones and community then, and we will continue to stand with them now. We must fight to ensure no other family suffers such a horrific loss and demand real reforms, including stronger standards and background checks in law enforcement hiring. This is the work NAN has carried forward for 35 years, standing in the tradition of Dr. King, fighting for one standard of justice and refusing to be silent in the face of police violence and inequality. Our mission remains clear: to protect our communities, demand accountability, and ensure equal justice under the law. Justice must be more than a moment. It must be a movement.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who never has gotten the credit she deserves in being the force behind this movement. Congressman John Conyers, Stevie Wonder, and others. And Ronald Reagan, who had called Martin Luther King a communist, ended up being the president that had to sign the bill for Martin Luther King's federal holiday. The reason why we know struggle works is this holiday is a result of struggle, signed by a president that never thought it would be. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up to Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. But we gather this morning because everything Dr. King stood for is at risk. As we speak, we're waiting to see what the Supreme Court will do with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, one of the major achievements of the King movement. As we speak this morning, this sitting president has declared war on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is the core of the Civil Rights Act of '64. We are under attack And we should not be taking this as a day off. This is a day on to fight to keep what was maintained. To see, I remember 6 years ago, Martin III and I were in Minneapolis leading the marches around George Floyd. I did the eulogy at his funeral. 6 years later, we see a white female, unarmed, killed in Minneapolis. We see people being racially profiled. We see that there are those that would want this to be the last federal holiday named after King. Don't you be deceived. This sitting president and his cohorts would want to end Martin Luther King Day. But just like we will not let them end this day, we will not let them end voting rights and Civil Rights Act and DEI. It's not enough to remember and honor the dreamer and let them kill the dream. And that's why National Action Network has every year started in Washington, D.C. with this breakfast. And then we go to New York with our public policy forum. And every year, we try to set an agenda and go into April. We always have our national convention in April, which is the month Dr. King was killed, to say that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. And those of us that come out of that movement is going to continue to fight. This April will be our National Action Network is 35 years old in this April at our convention. One of the things, though, we've been most proud of is to try to keep the assignment that we were given. As I said, Mrs. Coretta Scott King never got the credit she was due. She's the matriarch of this movement. You must know that Dr. King was in Boston, had graduated Morehouse College, 19 years old, went to Boston University, an Ivy League school at a time many blacks couldn't get in them. Met a young lady who was in conservatory, was going to be an opera singer from Marion, Alabama, Coretta Scott King. They decided to go back south. A lot of blacks that went north and had their upper movement never wanted to go back south. But for whatever reason, Dr. King wanted to go back south. And Mrs. King stood right with him and went to Alabama and ran into history. It is always those that accept the calling that change history. And we should never forget the sacrifice made of Dr. Martin and Mrs. Coretta Scott King, because they did not have to go and lead a boycott. They were Boston University conservatory. Keeping it real, keeping it real. And when I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, on this our 20th anniversary to the day of this show. And we've already had some great surprises as we deal with these issues. I understand we have another surprise on the live line. Let's go to the live line and see who this surprise is.
Happy anniversary, Rev. This is Derek Johnson, NAACP. How you doing, brother?
All right. How you doing, man? This is a surprise. It's Derek Johnson, CEO of the NAACP, and all over the country, all over the world, doing great work. My little brother. We work a lot together. I appreciate you calling in.
Oh, yeah, you know, this is, they say, the best of times and worst of times. Best of times, your voice being the leading voice is for social justice now on the radio for 20 years, in addition to your work in the streets. The worst of times, as we see people like Don Lemon and others being locked up for doing their constitutional right, reporting the news. So we need your voice more than ever. We got to speak truth to power, particularly in this climate where they're trying to take away our freedoms and suffocate our voice.
Well, I appreciate your work. I have, you know, you was talking about, I went through about 4 or 5 U.S. presidents. I went through about maybe that many NAACP presidents. And I could say, and I can get in trouble, because I just feel it. I've never seen anyone stabilize and keep the NAACP steady and moving forward and relevant and as the template of where we are that I've seen under your presidency. I say that publicly. I say it to you privately, but I say it to you publicly because it is important the mothership stay in the water, and you've done that like no other president in my time. And I've been out here a little bit longer than you, a little bit longer, a little bit longer.
Listen, I appreciate that. I tell anybody, we have to support our Black institutions across the board. And some of us are the voice, and some of us do the behind the scenes and keep the infrastructure together. And I told Rev when I first started, I said, they're looking for a speaker to turn the house out. I'm calling you because I got to do this work over here.
Yeah.
And that's why our partnership is so good, because we all have a role. None of us can do this by ourselves. And your voice has been a key voice for the last several decades. So continue to be a clarion call.
And continue to be Derek Johnson. I couldn't ask for a better leader in the ACP, our leading and oldest organization. And I just want you to know you don't get enough public praise because you don't do enough public stuff. But he can go now. Don't let him fool you now. I've seen him make speeches. He just prefers doing the organizing and building the building. But he can handle it now. They fooling themselves. They throw the mic and think that he going to flunk that. We've had some that could, but he can pull it up if he wants to. But he said, nah, let them do that because he can do things we can't do. And I admit that publicly. He does a methodical strategist job that a lot of us just don't have the patience or ability to do. So I appreciate more than you know you calling in. The president, CEO of the NAACP, Derek Johnson, thank you so much. Let me bring on now my co-host. You know, when I started the show 20 years ago, we had George Curry used to end the show every week. He'd do the last hour on Keeping It Real. George Curry, who extremely important journalist, and it was the founder and put out his own magazine. And then when that did not last, he came on this show. And when he passed, I did the eulogy at his funeral in Alabama. When he passed and Emerged died as a magazine, I wanted someone that could continue with the same insight and the same kind of on-the-ground combination of being able to talk and walk the walk. And that's where we selected Reverend Charles Williams, who heads the Detroit National Action Network and pastors the historic King Solomon Baptist Church. Been with us in Nan since I guess he was 19 years old, 18 years old, and never left, grew up in a leadership position in his own right. And on this anniversary, let me bring him on to handle what he does the last hour with me. The Reverend Charles Williams II. How you doing, Reverend? Is he on mute? I can't hear him.
Hello.
Yeah,
hello?
I hear you now.
Hello. I said all is well, and certainly it's always good to be with you. We keep it real, and on this Exhale Friday, 20 years, Rev, was standing in the gap, even when it wasn't popular, when it wasn't profitable, and even today, as you well know, as Derek Johnson said, it's not safe. But through faith, we continue to press on, courage, moral clarity. We got to remind this nation that justice is not seasonal. It's a calling, not a minute, not a moment, but it's a movement. And so, Rev, thank you for 20 years. I am honored to have the opportunity to sit in the seat where George Curry sat. Honored to have the opportunity to back you up and Dominique up every now and then. Just honored to be a part of this. Honored to be able to be on the front lines with you, marching for justice, peace, power, and prosperity in every place we've been, and it's certainly warranted and it's worth its effort, and we certainly appreciate and grateful for the service that you continue to give Black America, and not just Black America, but Americans, because we see now you don't have to be Black to get shot by the police. And you don't have to be a man to get shot by the police. You can be a white woman or even a white man. And that just ups the ante on why it's so important for us going forward to make sure that as we are now watching voting rights being attacked, everybody, we're now watching voting rights being attacked, that we double down our efforts, making sure that we register folk to vote, making sure that we protect the vote, and making sure that we mobilize folk to get out and vote, because they're going to do everything they can to try to turn us around. But as the old song says, we shall not be moved. Just like a tree by the water, we shall not be moved.
All right, let's go back to the phone. Let me go to my dear friend in Chevy Chase, Maryland, Miss Richardson. Miss Richardson, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, good day to you, sir. Reverend Al, 20 years. Rev, I mean, where did that time go? It went like it was like this yesterday you came aboard on your introduction of your broadcast.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And you know, your friend was I was having my maypole then.
That's right. I remember that. When you first started calling me, you was having your maypole, and we've been having maypole. You've been having your maypole with me for 20 years.
Yes, sir. And remember me, I always said my lemon in my tea.
That's right. That's right. I remember. Wow.
Man, you know, Rev, you mentioned George Carey. Oh, we loved him dearly. And because, you know, I would call your show, and George would be your
host, yeah.
Assigned. Yeah, and the other one, Michael Anglishon, we miss him too.
Yeah, he passed. Both of them passed.
Yeah, you know, and they were so great. But, you know, we have to have our New Year's resolution. And I'm going to go, but I just want to say to our men, stop going to these facilities, these places that will not support you. They're only exploitationing of you. Like Reverend said in his introduction today about the music, you know, the words that these young men, rappers and things are using, it's not appropriate for the black community. And I think you talked to Melba Moore earlier.
Yeah, that's right, Melba.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, you know, people such as her statue could talk to these. They're all in California where they, I guess, produce all that. And, you know, I haven't heard anything from Time Warner lately. What are they doing, Rev? But another thing is that,
I don't know. I really don't.
I don't even know. But you remember when the First Lady of Soul called you, Aretha Franklin called you one time.
Oh, yeah. She called a couple of times. Yeah, she called a couple of times. And James Brown called. I was so happy that he lived to see me start this show. He died in 2006, the year I started the show. The year I started the show.
Yeah, because him and Gerald Ford passed that same month. Remember the former president?
That's right.
Gerald Ford.
That's right.
Yeah, they both. I think they both went that same week, wasn't it? When they passed?
I think it was a few days apart. And I never growing up, and when James Brown took me in to support my youth group, and Aretha used to come through with her father when I was a boy preacher, I never thought I'd live to see where I would speak at both of their funerals. You just talent like that, you never think is going anywhere, which is why we ought to appreciate people while we have them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but ending, I just want to say, let's folks think of the new resolution to our problems. Because like Reverend says, nobody's going to free us but us. We're the only ones going to free ourselves. You know, because see, the Anglo-Saxon and black men never say it. I don't know why, but they always, you know, they want to jump on the Jewish folks for some reason. I don't know. But, you know, they need to start looking where it really stems from, the stealing of black tradition and black, and you know, the things that they stole from them from the time that they were in the caves, and the African people would be, you know, building up their countries and things. And the Anglo came in there, the colonists came right in Africa, Germany, and all these places, England, Poland. They all colonized there, and the same thing is going on there. They have the white leadership going on there, and they're not doing much for the down and out, like they should be. But I just want to say, men, we need to have our men realize that when they go to prison every time, and many of them going there over and over and over, stop doing it, because see, they only applaud you. Trump people and Anglos who are like that they only applaud when you're going in there, because you're making money for the prison system to keep you there, right, Reb? That's right. All they're doing.
And like a revolving door. Like a revolving door. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Breaking news. The issues, the stories affecting you. Now here's the news.
You know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keep. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday morning with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people. Hear from them, the call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of Keeping It Real.
Around this is so wicked. Now they're going to they released last night a memo that said that the FBI was investigating Good. They're trying to come up with some on the victim. Not they going to investigate who shot her. The ICE agent shooting in the head 3 times. They're going to investigate her. And you wonder why we need movements. You wonder why we need to stand up. Hakeem Jeffries was here Monday. Why we need to deal with this midterm election. Well, Reverend, I get calls on my radio show every day. Well, I don't see where voting changed something. All right. Let me tell you where, if they lose the Congress this year, where it changes. The Speaker would be Hakeem Jeffries, who grew up right here in Name, as he said on Monday. The Speaker decides then the calendar for the legislative session. The chairs of the committees become Democrats. So the Judiciary Committee, now watch this in the barber shop. The chair of the Judiciary Committee, y'all saw the Judiciary Committee have the hearing and brought in the special counsel yesterday. Well, the chair this time, if the Democrats win, would be a Democrat. who could then subpoena the Attorney General Bondi, all of the folks that were involved in January 6th. They can subpoena the vice president, all of them, because you've got the power of the gavel. Wonder why nobody has asked Pence how he felt running for his life January 6th. Well, if you get the Judiciary Committee, you can subpoena Pence.
This is a defining moment. As our world faces urgent challenges, the movement comes.
Tradition to be standing with nurses and standing with those that should be getting wages for saving the lives and caring for people that the private hospitals and other hospitals seem not to care about. How can you spend King Day and turn your back on people that are working and not insured right and not given the right wages and not given the right respect when they're taking care of our afflicted, our ill, our infirm? In the name of Martin Luther King, I join the nurses in demanding justice for the nurses. This is not only a labor issue, this is a civil rights issue. This is a human rights issue. It's an issue that black and white, Latino, Asian, all can stand together, because those that want to make profits out of people's illness rather than pay for those that care for them, that stand for them, that are there when their families are not there in some cases. So we had to come on King Day. Many of the dignitaries came to the House of Justice, but I left to come and stand here with them to let them know that Martin Luther King Day is a day to stand up for those that are standing in the cold, but they never left the patients in the cold. No justice. No peace. 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 All right. Thank you, Mr. Sharpton.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people, and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be.
So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing.
Is our co-host 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, and also you can go on the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. And Anita Bracy 7533 says 20 years been listening, tweeting, under likable and marching with Keeping It Real. Marched in the local Atlanta, Georgia radio station when his and Warren Ballantyne's shows were pulled and put back on. Yeah, I remember. We had Warren Ballantyne used to come on before me. Then you had, before that, Michael Eric Dyson had a show. We had 3 or 4 of them started around the time of me or right after. I was the first one on the network. And then I tried to, I can say, Reverend Williams, I showcased a lot of people that went on and did very well. We used to have Tiffany Cross on every Tuesday.
Tiffany Cross.
I used to have Angela Ryan on. When I started a TV show, I had Angela. Angela talks all the time about first few times she was consistent on television was on my show. I remember the young sister that became a judge on TV. I'm trying to think of her name that I used to put on. So I thank God I've stayed out here long enough to see some of the people that I felt had something to say and some talent emerge and become something that vindicated. They don't have to stay with me, just do something. And it proved that they were of value and still are. Evangelist Ramsey saying, congratulations, Reverend Sharpton, 20 years of keeping it real. Grace, peace to the Nan family and all listeners. Glad to be attached to the Nan family as a lifetime member and a supporting the mission statement and consistent in standing up for justice. Let me also say this. I think that we are due 20 years of respect to Fatim Muhammad, my senior producer.
That's right.
Been with me since day one. Fatim joined the movement in the late 80s when I was still with the Slave Theater in Brooklyn, and when I left in 91 and started National Action Network, he went with me. In fact, when this white assailant stabbed me leading a march in Bensonhurst over the racial killing of Yusuf Hawkins, Fatim was there in the schoolyard. He was one part of my security team. And he went on, M. Toomey, the great artist M. Toomey, used to host a show on the local KISS station in New York, and along with Bob Slade and Judge Pickett. And Fatim became one of the producers, then the producer. And then as they went on, all 3 of them are dead now, he became the host. So he not only still produces Keeping It Real, he hosts the talk show in local New York station, WBLS FM, the local FM in New York, hosted every Sunday morning, held that audience. And his co-host is Jennifer Jones Austin. So all these roads come together, but I have to give a big shout out to him. 20 years, he been there the whole time and made it work. And we've done everything on this show from, like I said, had presidents to having the Imus. I remember years ago when Imus called them girls' names and I called for him to be fired, and he thought if he came on my show and apologized that he'd get away with it, and I and him debated, and he ended up getting fired. We did that on this show, Keeping It Real, and Imus was as big as you could get at that time. but he called them girls nappy-headed H's. And I went off. And we won that fight. And I think that we going to win some more fights. We got to keep fighting. Every time you think it's over, God will let something happen to let you know it's not over yet. This Don Lemon thing is another wake-up call. And I think that we just need to stay ready because these people ain't giving up, and we can't give up. And I think that that is imperative. And Reverend Williams, how long have you been on Fridays now? Since George?
Wow, I don't. It's been at least probably if it's 20 years, I would say at least 10 of those years I would have been. Yeah, 10 of those. I've been married 11 years, and the first year I got married, George passed away, and so it's been about 11 years now. And but I have to say, you have been a foundation factor for many people across this country in terms of folks who we look at as leaders and folks who are out there in the movement, whether they're on television, whether they're on radio, or whether they're out there in the marching fields. There's folks like Brian and folks like Mallory and folks like others who you have just really, through the radio and through the TV, you have shared and opened up your platform. And that a lot of folk don't do that. A lot of let's just be consistent. I remember talking to you one day and you telling me about times you had friends who had shows and you couldn't even get in the building when
Right.
they had the show. I mean, I think,
Oh no,
we have to
that's
really
for
honor
real.
that and appreciate that.
I've had people that isolated us. I've had preachers that said, no, he can't preach in my church. He's too militant. He's in that activism.
Right.
And then once I became, quote, more acceptable, they told me, oh, we go way back. Yeah, we do. But you won't tell them how way back. I was barred from your place. But, one of the things I did my morning thoughts every morning before I work out. I always give some morning thoughts and then weekend assignments. And one of the things that I said this morning I want us to work on this weekend is the spirit of Sankofa, walking forward but looking backwards. Looking backwards, it comes out of Ghana where you dwell and maintain the wisdom of the past. Because you're moving forward you with wisdom. And that's the Sankofa moment. Let me go to the live line. I think we have another guest before I go to the break. Hello.
Hello, this is Bishop Jordan.
Hey, how you doing, Bishop?
Congratulations, man of God.
All right.
You laughed. You laughed.
20 years.
I want to thank God because you gave a platform to the prophetic. And I would come there every other week and people call in and you allowed the word of the Lord to come through the airwaves to so many people's lives that we've got ready to touch. And also during that time, we gave the prophetic word about America's first black president.
You did.
That was written in written judgments in the 1990s. And you watched that word come, we all watched that word come to pass. And there's another thing in the prophetic word about America going into some real dark days and tension. And I was in prayer earlier this month, and I said, it's here. And I just want to say to the community and to the family, we are going to need to learn the words of prayer if you don't know the words of prayer, because this nation is divided in a way unlike worse than the Civil War. So it's going to be a call for the right kind of leadership, because the one thing we do know is that Egypt didn't keep the children of Israel in bondage. It was the lack of a Moses emerging. And so it's now time for the Moseses to begin to emerge that will begin to lead people into a new freedom. Thank you.
Wow, well, I appreciate you. One of the callers said he missed you coming on the show. We gotta work that out. You gotta come back on at least every couple of weeks. We gotta do that because we need a prophetic word to get us through these times. And I read the messages, the prophetic messages you give me. I read it every day when I wake up and at night. So I know where I belong in this, and I'm gonna keep doing it.
All right.
Thank you, Bishop E. Bernard Jordan. Thank you. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Williams. Be right back.
Good morning, everybody. Governor Westmore. And as a former honoree of the National Action Network's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast, I want to begin by recognizing the leadership of this great organization. My guy, Reverend Sharpton, you're one of a kind. You've dedicated your life to safeguarding and advancing Dr. King's legacy, and I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine. I also want to thank Ebony Riley and her team and Andrea Waters King and the entire King family. Your work continues to shape national conversations about equity and justice, and you inspire so many to pursue their own path in public service. And finally, I am thrilled to congratulate today's Visionary Award recipient, my guy, Mayor Brandon Scott. Mr. Mayor, you deserve this honor. Your leadership is turning your vision for Baltimore into a Baltimore where we can all thrive, helping to drive down historic lows in crime. A Baltimore that has one of the fastest growing economies in the country. You've been an incredible partner in this work, my man. A strong leader for the city, and most importantly, a devoted friend and father. So congratulations, Brandon. And thank you to everyone here who is working to strengthen our communities, to broaden opportunities, and most importantly, to serve the people.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone. You reminded us that change doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen, as long as we don't give away our power. I also want to recognize my friends, Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King, who continue to be such an important part of this movement. Finally, I want to congratulate another great friend, Eric Holder, on this well-deserved honor. Eric was obviously an outstanding Attorney General, and after the career he's had, he could have easily decided to ride off into the sunset. Sometimes I think that his wife Sharon wishes he had, but that's not who Eric is. Instead, over the last decade, he's built the National Democratic Redistricting Committee into a leading force in the fight against gerrymandering. And thanks to them, we've been able to push back some of the worst attempts to undermine our elections. It speaks to Eric's love of country, but also his recognition of how important this work is. He understands that our democracy isn't self-executing. We have to fight for it each and every day. And that's going to be especially true as we head into the midterms later this year. So, thanks to Eric and his team for doing everything they can to put our elections on a level playing field. And thanks to all of you for helping people recognize their own power and put it to good use. Take care, everybody, and God bless.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality about what we
Keep it real! Keep it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and the back 1-877-532-5797. 20th anniversary, y'all, and we gonna try to do it. Alfred Liggins said when he called in, he hoped we do 20 more. I'm gonna do the best I can, and I definitely wouldn't mind being here another 20. We're gonna keep on keeping on. Now, you ain't gotta wait 20 years. Tomorrow night and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. Among my guests tomorrow is Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic leader of the House of Representatives. I want him to break down what the Senate is doing. What does this 2 weeks mean? What is the House going to do? How they going to fight for the Affordable Care Act, as well as to kill ICE. Hakeem will be on with us live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. And then I'll have others, members of Congress, Nakima Williams, who represents Atlanta. I'll be on talking about the Fulton County raid by the FBI. And I'm certainly going to have people on talking about what's happened to Don Lemon. So don't miss either night, Saturday or Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. For all of you Super Bowl fans, Super Bowl don't start till I go off, so don't worry about it. And you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, make history. Be with us for the last rally at the House of Justice in Harlem's 145th and Lenox tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. to 11. And we are a step closer to our new headquarters, but we're going to do Black History Month Saturday Action Rally at the historic Mother AME Zion Church, 136th Street, and between Lenox Avenue and 7th Avenue in Harlem. This is the church Frederick Douglass used to speak at. This is the church where Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad came through. They have a little museum that's showing. They have the platform Frederick Douglass used to speak. Paul Robeson was a member there. His brother pastored there. And we're going to have all of our Black History Month Saturdays. I'll be doing the keynote right there. Saturday Action Rally moves there and then on to our headquarters. And the National Action Network Convention. And I'm telling you, people are registering. I said 2 days ago we were almost at 2,000. We're at 3,000 now. People coming, registering, saying, I want to be there for the workshops. I'll be there 1 day. I'll be there 3 days. I'll be there all 4 days. The hotel is already getting a lot of bookings. Register now so you know you can get in the workshops. It's all free. It's all free and it's all needed. All you have to do is go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call in the toll-free number, 1-877-626-4651. Reverend Williams, what's going on at Detroit Nan in the morning?
Well, Rev, we are on the hunt here. You know, when I say on the hunt, I mean we got the fight ahead of us. ICE is starting to show up in Detroit and in the southeastern Michigan area, and we will have our police chief and others who will be giving us an update on the operation, how we will be proceeding here in Detroit. Councilwoman Mary Waters, put together a proposal that you can't wear no mask in Detroit, for no police officers can wear any mask in Detroit. So there's a lot of action and a lot of things that we're going to be dealing with tomorrow. I want you to make sure you're there because that's where we plan the action and we move on the action. Don't wait for a tweet or say Facebook. Wait, just get there in person. 6100 14th Street at the historic King Solomon Baptist Church, 6100 for the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally.
All right. Let's go back to the phones. Let me go to the inimitable and irreplaceable leader, activist extraordinaire, president of the Greater Cleveland chapter of National Action Network, Cleveland, Ohio, Reverend Dr. Sister Marcia McCoy.
Well, we certainly appreciate your years of service, Reverend Dr. Professor Al Sharpton, the Honorable. It's amazing at how many years you have been in the media spotlight. We needed it then, we need it now, until our wonderful Midwest Region Director, Reverend Dr. Charles Williams II. We appreciate the work that the both of you all are doing. And I thought about when they raided over there in Georgia. Lord have mercy. I don't know if anyone is familiar with that film called Unprecedented during that 2000 presidential election with the hanging chads and everything that transpired over in Florida when they actually stole the election. And here we are again. But I'm not going to hold you, but I'm so glad the National Action Network exists. Our two judges, National Action Network members, are on the bench. They are now on the bench, 2 members of National Action Network.
Wow.
And we're proud of that. So, Reverend Dr. Professor Al Sharpton, I'm bringing on the mule. Come on, Bishop.
Dr. Al Sharpton.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Charles Williams.
Yes, sir.
Hold my mule, my brother.
I got you, Reverend.
Never would I and the whole lot of others have dreamed or imagined in this day and time that we would have a president of the United States of America, a man occupying the Oval Office who is as flawed as the present occupant, Donald J. Trump. A convicted felon, 34 falsifying business records as part of an alleged business money scheme to influence the 2016 election, an immoral, serial, proverbial, habitual liar who has told 35,000 lies in the last few years and still lying, a 10-year love affair with a corrupt, convicted sex trafficker and a rapist, Jeffrey Epstein, who preyed on young girls as young as 11 and 14 years of age. He is now cottoning the incarcerated woman who procured the victims of this vicious crime, blackmail. A wannabe king and dictator who will weaponize the federal government to punish who he perceives as his personal enemies. A man who would organize to let loose ICE agents who kill people in blue democratic states and cities mostly led by black mayors. A stone devoted and dedicated white supremacist who calls Nazis good people, disrespects and denigrates women, obliterates diversity, equity, and inclusion, and has zero respect for the Congress, the Constitution, and the welfare of the nation. Hundreds and thousands of people were killed by his response to the COVID crisis by asking people to drink bleach. He organized and initiated an insurrection against the government that killed police and decimated law and order, then pardoned the perpetrators and is now hiring them as thugs in the sin of immigration and customs enforcement, gun-toting, mask-wearing, Gestapo boots intimidators who kill men and women with impunity. This man is no friend of labor, hates public education to the extent of getting rid of the Department of Education. He goes so far as to make his hatred of black people that he pays white people to come to America while he's trying to ship out people of color. There is no depth for his disdain for the Congress, the law, and the Constitution. He is the personification of bigotry, racism, and discrimination. He cut Social Security and cancels health care for the poor while cutting taxes for the rich and the famous, millionaires and billionaires. Tears apart the White House down to build a golden ballroom for his rich buddies. Worst of all, he has almost wrecked NATO that was erected to prevent nations from war activity. Now he's the provocative instigator of invading neighboring countries like Venezuela, threatening to take Greenland, Mexico, Cuba, and the Panama Canal. Well, the way we got into this sorry mess, Dr. Sharpton and Dr. Williams, the way we got into this sorry mess is the way we can begin to get out. November 2026, let's go to the polls, flip the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate, and get rid of the puppet Speaker of the House, Johnson. Thank you, Doctor.
All right, thank you and bless you. And we are out of time. I thank you, and let me say to you, Reverend Williams, let me thank you. Let me thank all of you that listened in, called in for 20 years and couldn't get through. That couldn't get through today, but have been with us for the last 20 years. We love you. We thank you. And remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real.